Under the soft hush of night, when the world slows and difficult questions surface, there is a choice that has baffled doctors, divided families, and echoed through hospital corridors for generations. A choice where faith stands face to face with mortality, where obedience outweighs instinct, where life itself becomes a matter of conscience. Tonight, we step gently into the shadows of belief to understand why Jehovah's Witnesses are against blood transfusions. Not to argue, not to persuade, but to understand. This is not a story about ignorance or defiance. It is a story about conviction, about people who believe that loyalty to God matters more than survival at any cost. In Moonlight Whisper, we do not rush, we do not shout, we listen. And tonight we listen to a belief that treats blood not as medicine, but as something sacred. Chapter 1. Blood as life, not fluid. In the world of Jehovah's Witnesses, blood is never just blood. It is not viewed as a clinical substance, not as a red solution measured in units and stored in cold rooms behind hospital doors. It is not reduced to numbers, compatibility charts, or survival statistics. Blood to them exists on a plane far deeper than medicine. From their reading of the Bible, blood is life itself. Not a symbol of life, not a poetic metaphor, but the very physical expression of a sacred force given directly by God. Scripture, in their understanding, does not treat blood casually. It speaks of it with gravity, with warning, with awe. Again and again, the Bible binds blood and life together so tightly that separating them becomes impossible. Where there is blood, there is life. Where blood is spilled, life is diminished. Where blood is respected, life is honored. This belief reshapes everything. Life, they are taught, does not originate in human will, medical intervention, or biological chance. Life belongs to the Creator alone. Humans do not generate it. They do not own it. They do not have the authority to redefine it. And because blood represents that life, it becomes something borrowed, not possessed. To Jehovah's Witnesses, blood is entrusted, a sacred loan temporarily held within the body, meant to sustain life but never to be treated as a resource to be transferred, traded, or consumed at will. This is why blood is surrounded by reverence, why it is handled with restraint, why it is approached with fear, not fear of blood itself, but fear of misusing something God has declared holy. To misuse blood in this belief system is not a medical error. It is a spiritual violation, a crossing of a boundary humans were never authorized to cross. Chapter 2. The command to abstain. At the center of this worldview stands a single unyielding instruction: to abstain from blood. For Jehovah's Witnesses, this command is not open to reinterpretation. It is not softened by time, culture, or technological progress. It is not viewed as an ancient rule meant only for another era. They believe it is timeless, absolute, unchanged by modern medicine. When Scripture says to abstain, they do not hear suggestion. They hear command. They do not read symbolism into the words. They do not narrow the meaning to diet or ritual. They do not believe obedience depends on context or convenience. Abstaining does not mean avoiding a meal prepared a certain way. It means refusing blood in any form, by any method, for any reason. Whether swallowed as food, injected through a needle, or transferred silently through a vein, blood entering the body is still blood entering the body. From their perspective, the root does not change the reality. This is where modern medicine collides with ancient conviction. A blood transfusion, in the eyes of Jehovah's Witnesses, is not neutral. It is not merely a medical procedure designed to save life. It is an act that violates a direct instruction from God. No matter how clean the hospital room, no matter how urgent the situation, no matter how compassionate the intention, intent does not override command. To accept blood would mean placing human reasoning above divine authority. It would mean choosing survival over obedience. And in their faith, that choice carries consequences far heavier than physical loss. So the refusal is not made out of stubbornness, not out of ignorance, not out of disregard for life. It is made out of submission. Submission to a command they believe was never meant to be negotiated. In that quiet refusal, faith speaks louder than fear, and obedience stands firm, even when the cost is unimaginably high. Chapter 3. Obedience over outcome. This belief is not convenient. It does not bend to circumstance. It does not soften itself in moments of crisis, and it is never taken lightly. For Jehovah's Witnesses, obedience is not a surface-level virtue. It is the core proof of faith. They are taught from an early age that faith is not demonstrated when obedience aligns with comfort, safety, or common sense. Faith is revealed when obedience demands something painful, something frightening, something irreversible. In their understanding, obedience that costs nothing proves nothing. They believe God does not evaluate devotion by outcomes, not by whether a person survives, not by whether suffering is avoided, not by whether a situation ends happily. God, they believe, measures loyalty, and loyalty is shown when obedience remains intact even when the future is uncertain, even when the decision feels unbearable, even when the price is life itself. In moments of medical emergency, when alarms sound and seconds stretch thin, this belief becomes brutally real. Fear rises. Instinct screams for survival. Loved ones plead. Doctors present options backed by science and statistics. And yet, in that moment, the witness is not weighing odds. They are weighing allegiance. To accept blood would mean choosing a result over a relationship. It would mean preserving the body at the cost of violating conscience. It would mean trusting human intervention more than divine instruction. In their worldview, extending life by forbidden means is not a victory. It is a spiritual loss. So, obedience stands firm, not because the decision is easy, but because it is believed to be right, even when the outcome terrifies them, even when the consequences cannot be undone, even when obedience leads somewhere dark and unknown. Chapter 4. Why death is not the greatest fear to those looking in from the outside. This refusal often appears unbearable, cruel, unnecessary, even tragic. How could anyone choose faith over survival? How could a parent risk losing a child? How could a person refuse what might save them? But within the belief system of Jehovah's Witnesses, death is not the ultimate loss. They do not see death as a permanent ending. They do not believe the grave has the final word. They believe in resurrection, in restoration, in a future where life is returned by God Himself. Death to them is a pause, a sleep, a temporary silence before renewal. Because of this belief, the scale of fear is rearranged. The greatest fear is not dying, it is disobedience. To break a direct command from God is believed to carry consequences that extend beyond the physical world, consequences that touch the soul, consequences that echo into eternity. A broken command, in their understanding, damages the relationship between Creator and creation, and that damage, they believe, is far more severe than the loss of breath or heartbeat. So, when a witness refuses blood, they are not choosing death. They are choosing faithfulness. They are choosing the hope of future life over the preservation of present life at any cost. They are choosing obedience now, trusting that restoration comes later. It is a decision shaped not by despair but by hope. Hope rooted in the belief that life does not end where human strength fails. And so, beneath the weight of misunderstanding and judgment, this conviction remains steady. Better to die faithful than to live having crossed a line they believe God Himself has drawn. Chapter 5. Preparation, not impulse. This decision is rarely made in the chaos of the moment. It is not born in the flashing lights of an ambulance or decided under the pressure of a ticking clock. For Jehovah's Witnesses, the refusal of blood is not an impulsive act. It is a conclusion reached long before crisis arrives. Many carry medical directive cards, small, quiet documents that speak loudly when the owner cannot. Cards that clearly state their wishes. Cards meant to remove doubt, hesitation, and confusion in moments when every second matters. These cards are not symbols of fear. They are symbols of resolve. Within families, these conversations happen early and often, around dining tables, in living rooms, in hushed, serious moments between parents and children. They speak openly about emergencies they hope will never come. They prepare their hearts for decisions they pray they will never face. Parents imagine possibilities that ache to consider, and still they prepare. Not because they value life less, not because they are indifferent to pain or loss, but because they believe life does not belong to them in the first place. In their understanding, life is God's possession, temporarily entrusted to human care, and preservation of that life must never cross the boundaries God has set. Preparation then becomes an act of faith, a way of ensuring that fear does not override conviction, a way of remaining faithful even when emotions threaten to overwhelm reason. By deciding ahead of time, they believe they protect their conscience. They ensure that obedience is not compromised by panic. They choose clarity now so that faith can stand firm later. Chapter 6, Not Against Medicine. A quiet misunderstanding often surrounds this belief, a misconception that lingers unspoken but widely assumed, that Jehovah's Witnesses reject medicine, that they are hostile to science, that they turn away from doctors and modern care. This is not true. They do not reject medicine. They do not reject hospitals. They do not reject healing. Jehovah's Witnesses accept surgery. They accept medication. They accept diagnostic testing, advanced procedures, and medical expertise developed through years of study and innovation. They sit in waiting rooms. They consult specialists. They place their bodies in the hands of trained professionals. Their refusal is not broad, it is specific. They refuse whole blood and, in many cases, its primary components, not because they do not understand medicine, but because their conscience will not allow it. This refusal is rooted in belief, not ignorance, in conviction, not defiance. As medical science advances, many witnesses welcome alternatives with gratitude. Bloodless surgery, volume expanders, techniques designed to minimize blood loss and maximize recovery. These developments are not seen as loopholes, they are seen as mercies. Ways to preserve life without crossing spiritual boundaries. Ways to receive care while remaining obedient. Ways faith and medicine can coexist without compromise. To them, these alternatives represent a harmony between human skill and divine command. Proof that survival does not always require violation. So when Jehovah's Witnesses refuse blood, it is not a rejection of healing. It is a careful, deliberate boundary drawn by conscience. A boundary that says, we will accept help, but not at the cost of the faith we live by. Chapter 7, The Cost of Conviction. Still, the cost remains heavy, and it is never abstract. It is never theoretical. It is carried in real bodies, real rooms, real moments where silence feels unbearable. Families struggle in ways few outsiders ever see. Parents sit beside hospital beds, hands clasped too tightly, hearts torn between instinct and belief. Spouses watch monitors rise and fall, knowing that a single decision could change everything, and knowing that they will not make that choice. Doctors wrestle with ethics that medical textbooks do not fully prepare them for. Trained to preserve life at all costs, they face patients who calmly refuse what medicine offers as the most effective solution. They feel frustration. They feel helplessness. Sometimes they feel anger. Not at the patient, but at the collision between science and conscience. Observers question the logic from a distance. They ask why belief should outweigh survival, why faith should demand so much, why a line drawn centuries ago should still govern life and death decisions today. From the outside, it can look like stubbornness, like rigidity, like needless suffering. But inside the belief, this stance is something else entirely. It is surrender. Not surrender to fear, not surrender to despair, but surrender to a God they believe sees farther than any human mind ever could. Jehovah's Witnesses believe that human wisdom, no matter how advanced, remains limited. That instinct, no matter how powerful, is shaped by mortality. That fear, no matter how convincing, does not define truth. So they place their trust elsewhere. They trust a divine authority more than medical certainty, more than survival instinct, more than the natural terror of loss. This surrender is not passive, it is not weak. It is chosen, again and again, often with trembling resolve. Faith, when taken seriously, does not stay theoretical. It does not live only in words spoken at meetings or prayers whispered at night. It moves into action, into consequence, into sacrifice. And sacrifice, by its nature, costs something precious. For Jehovah's Witnesses, that cost may be misunderstanding, it may be judgment, it may be grief, and sometimes it may be life itself. Yet within their conviction, there is a quiet certainty that nothing given up in obedience is ever truly lost. That faithfulness matters more than outcome. And that surrender, painful as it is the highest expression of trust they can offer. This is the weight of conviction, not carried lightly, not chosen casually, but born with the belief that loyalty to God is worth more than anything this world can take away. So under the moonlight, we are not left with easy answers. Only a deeper question, one that echoes quietly in the heart. What would you be willing to give up for what you believe is sacred? If this whisper helped you understand what once seemed impossible to grasp, sit with the silence for a moment. And when you're ready, subscribe to Moonlight Whisper. Here we explore belief without noise, history without judgment, and the unseen truth that shaped the human soul.